Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and hello again everybody. In this video guys, we're doing a bit of a review and a flip through of the Tarochhino Montieri. So a new acquisition, a limited edition by Lo Scarabeo. They limit these in the Anima Antiqua series to 2,000, almost 3,000, okay, 2,999. And I was fortunate to acquire this a few weeks ago. A very unique deck. So first off, let's say that this is a 62 card deck, and I've laid pretty much most of the arcanas in the first two rows here to start viewing and looking at them together. But basically guys, very interesting in that it's a 62 card deck. This deck is going to be missing the numbers when we get to the minors. It misses the numbers from 7 through 10, so it stops at 6, which makes it very interesting. You still have 22 major arcanas, which are also a little bit coming with a twist, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But really, it puts the odds of coming up with major arcanas, especially if you spread a lot of cards. It really increases the odds of having more majors in your spread, in your readings. So something to take note of, something that could work well with certain types of spreads as well, so depending on your reading style, etc. Now this is a historic deck, okay, not necessarily super ancient, but we're looking at around 1725. Now there is more than one reason why this deck is so special. So first off, apparently around the time it was published, early on, the deck was pulled back, and a lot of its copies, if not most of them, all of them, were burned. Now the reason is the Catholic Church comes into play on that side, but not necessarily related to the actual faith or religion itself. I think it was more political views that the artist was in a way portraying, or that could have been, what's the word, risky at the time to indulge the public in. So censorship for sure. But now let's take a look at also how different this deck in terms of its major arcana from others from around that same period. So I have the book here. It comes with this lovely your typical book for the Anima Antiqua, where they'll have thicker stock, thicker paper, nice to fold, etc. For me, this being a limited edition, this one is actually one of the latter ones. So this is number 2900 out of 2999. Perfect, typical box. This one, I believe, yes, this one is printed in China. Guys, the quality in this series between what's printed in Italy and China is really not far. I mean, I have to say, Chinese printing is also providing excellent quality in this series especially. Okay, so that's the box. And then Bologna 1725, that would have been the date it was published, and likely also around the time it was burnt. Now the order of the arcanas, of the major arcanas, is very different. So let me see if I can read a few things here from this book. And so it goes, okay, the Tarochhino is a game, okay, which I don't know how to play yet, but it goes, the Tarochhino deck is a 62 card variant of the normal tarot, which spread in the central Italy rather, especially around Bologna and Florence. Compared to a traditional tarot deck, the deck numbers 2 to 5 are missing from each suit. Now, I believe that's a mistake, because it's not the deck's number 2 to 5, but here it says that. It's more like numbers, okay, it's more numbers 7 through 10. There's something else that's going to be said here, but anyway, Luigi Montieri's Tarochhino Bolognese is one of the rarest decks still in existence in the world, except for the illuminated 15th century tarot, of course. Okay, the reason for this rarity is what makes this deck So interesting. It exemplifies the historic conflict that existed between tarot cards and the Catholic Church. In fact, on the orders of Cardinal Rufo, Bishop of Ferrara, and the papal legate in Bologna, this tarot deck was banned on September 12, 1725. The okay, every copy of it was burnt. Okay, so that's kind of the story. Now, why were they burnt? I'm going to just jump into that. The reasons that led the Cardinal Rufo to burn the tarot deck had nothing to do with religious or moral aspects, since in 1725, tarot cards were not yet used for fortune telling or divination, but simply playing cards for money. The reasons were firmly political, explicitly related to the description of Bologna as a mixed government. I think this shows up in either cards 21, which we'll get to, sure, in a bit, or 22. Now, there's something else that also happens here. So the term mixed government, therefore, was correct in the sense that it was, you know what, a bit of a church guaranteed. Okay, so they're saying it was correct, but it was offensive to the church at the time. While the cards were being burned, the political issue was being discussed in Rome by Count Filippo Aldrovandi, ambassador of the Bolognese Senate, and the Cardinal Secretary of State. As a result, what could have turned into a major incident was put back in right perspective, with the Bolognese state intervening to quell the spirits on one side and the papal authority on the other, probably forcing Rufo to adopt a more conciliatory attitude. So really, something positive came out of that to some extent. Now, okay, Luigo Montieri, right? Luigo Montieri, the artist here, dedicates this deck to a knight, to someone called Giannappolo Pepoli, okay? And this dedication happened in or on August 15, and also the same year, 1725. Now, enough with me talking here. Let's just observe the order first. So we're looking at beginning card number 1 in the majors. This is more like a lover, if you will, card. Now you get to see each card, guys. The actual playing part, or the actual tarot illustration, is going to be only this part at the top here. Literally like 20% of the card. Everything else down here is part of the reason why it was banned, if you will, but it's really common knowledge, or knowledge about European governance, European capitals. It's really one of those informational types of cards, if you will, and it has that style of a cheat sheet too. So you begin with the what looks like a lover card, okay, what looks like Cupid, and then second, number 2 is Justice, if you will. So there's the Justice card coming in number 2 here. The order of the majors is completely different, as you could see in number 3. And again, that's the little part that we are going to read with when we do when I do use these. This is the Strength card. And then in number 4, he has the Chariot. Number 5 begins another piece of the mystery. So number 5, okay, number 18, 19, and 20. All right, I'll show you guys. Here's 18. Almost, it's the same thingy, okay, 19 and 20. And I heard that the way that you call these is Moors. Alrighty, Moors. Why? Well, so the story goes in order, given the time to avoid offending, okay, the church or, you know what, government. He opted to replace the High Priestess and the Pope, or the Hierophant, with those types of cards, Moors. And also the same goes to the Emperor and the Empress. So again, another twist on your majors now if you're going to use this deck, because now you're beginning, first off, the order is a little different from Marseille and from other decks, and now we have to account for This likely being the High Priestess. Okay, so if we begin with the High Priestess here, and we say they've shuffled the order a little bit, we're going to end up with the Hierophant as number 18. Okay, if we follow that order in a way, and then we're going to end up with the Empress as being number 19 and the Emperor as being number 20. Completely different. Very, very interesting. But it's, you know what, it's how you interpret the cards and also how you attach them to a card spread if you do, you know what, read with card spreads, which I obviously favor. And that's the only way I do read. Well, not the only, but for the most part. So using these positions, I don't think it's going to be that hard to say, okay, 5 is going to relate to the High Priestess, 18 will be the Hierophant, etc. But a very, very different twist for sure. And number 6 becomes the Moon card. Number 7 is the, call that the Trumpet, or call it also, we can call that Judgment as well. And again, very, very interesting facts here, and very interesting things about European, you know what, cities, capitals, political systems, types of governments. It's more like a civics course, if you will, around that time period, which may have offended some based on some interpretation. Now, card number 8, we have the Sun. Not your typical sun, but that's the Sun here. And then number 9, we have Death. Number 10, we have the World. 11, it's the Hangman. And again, only this part is what you're looking at, so it's going to be interesting. But I have to say, I love the faded and matted and muted, okay, colors. The color scheme is something I love. And even it spills over to the parts below where you have the general or the information on Europe. So that's the Hangman. Okay, number 12 is our Hermit. 13 is the Wheel. 14 is the Star. So very, very, very interesting. Now, I have waited and kept the deck in order so that I can get this review, and I really want to shuffle and start playing and actually reading with them. So now, having shown you the top row, let me, okay, pull these guys and let's begin to move them up and finish the arcanas, the measures. These are the backs, guys. Typically, I don't like, you know, certain things about, you know, body parts being shown, but really, this is purely artistic. This is black and white. This is not like, you know what, in the Marseille decks where it's really attention grabbing and cartoonish. So anyway, so that's that. But the backs are so interesting. And let's see. Okay, so now I'll bring these guys up here and we can continue to see them together. And now we'll bring the almost last batch of the majors. So card number 15 is the Devil. Card number 16 is what you could call lightning, or you can call that the Tower. Alrighty. And here are those Moors, if you will. Moors, huh? What an interesting word for some majors being switched. Okay, let me just make sure I'm in frame. And now, I believe we are. Yes, we are. Okay, so Temperance is number 17. And now we have what I will suggest to use as the Hierophant or the Pope. And guys, if you own this deck, if you have used it and you have come up with a way to figure out these substitutions, please do comment. Please let me know. I'd be very interested to know, A, if you own one of these, and B, how you are using it. So then number 19 is going to be, I'm going to use it as, although it says Africa, but I'm going to use it as the Empress, if you will. America would be for the Hierophant, and then, okay, 19 would be for the Empress. Asia, number 20, would be for the Emperor, okay, which is typically, if you go back, is a different number altogether. Now, the problematic card that got the, I think, that got the author, you know what, in trouble and had, and the cards were burnt, is this particular one, which is the Fools. So that's actually card number 21. as you may be able to see, but really he's describing the types of governments in Europe, okay? And he actually talks about monarchies, and then he has examples of those. So France and Spain and so on. He talks about democracies or democratical here, and then he has Switzerland, he has something else. And I think there is a mixed element here where the one, I think he had a term here, which I'm not still 100% on, but we'll find out. And if you guys know, please do correct me and tell me. I think in one of the categorizations, he said mixed. And mixed was a little bit offensive. Mixed between what? Not entirely sure, but likely between a parliamentary, you know what, and a monarchy, something to that effect. So, political censorship does happen, but now we know that there was some, you know what, discussions to bring that down, wind that down. Now, last but not least, in the majors here is actually the Magician's card, if you will. And that's card number 22. So it's very, very interesting to mind the order. Now, in the Magician card, we're talking about, I think it's cities of Europe and capitals. So we have Madrid, we have what looks like Lisbon here, we have what looks like London maybe, Dublin for Ireland, and so on, and likely some Italian as well, cities, and so on and so forth. So bits of information, excuse me, and really a very informative at the time, if you will. I mean, if you had this at the time, that'd be a very interesting thing to have. It's almost, yeah, it's almost like a little geography, civics, history course as you keep playing that. So what an interesting way to actually spread knowledge. Now, knowledge, whether factual or not, that's why there was a bit of a dispute. So as I said, guys, key highlight of the deck for me is number 62 cards, okay? And then also the idea of mores, let alone the ordering of the major arcana, but the idea of we're not going to have a high priestess, we're going to represent her by one of those, and the same for the Pope or Hierophant, the same for the Emperor and Empress. Question becomes, what do you substitute with? How do you order them? So if you have thoughts, suggest to me, please, and do let me know. Alrighty, and this is a good moment because we said we're going to shuffle. So I'm so happy this part is done. I have shown you guys the measures here, and now let's look at the minors. Okay, so like I said, there's going to be the numbers 1 through 6, and that's it. 1 through 6. We don't have a 7, we don't have an 8, we don't have 9, no 10. And this is pretty much it. There is your 1 through 6. So here's the wand suit. Okay. Each number is going to obviously correspond to the same number of banners. Okay. And I heard in somebody's review, they're being called heraldic banners. So that kind of makes sense. So 6 on 6 here. Notice again the matted and the muted colors. Notice how faint they are. But still, the card is very captivating. There are these drops of red, and there are these, you know what, black and gray banners there. So I don't find this boring at all. In fact, it's very, very interesting to find the detail in that top, you know what, 1/5 or quarter of the card. And here we go, guys. So 6, huh? Ace and through 6. And here's the page. The pages are always going to have this funky hat, if you will, or something on their head. The knights are always going to have nobody, basically. It's a horse and the actual element, whether it's the wand or the coin. So they just show the horse for the knights as if they have fallen, or I don't know. Then the queen is quite obvious, and also the king. And the way I tell the difference between the king and the page is basically their hats are always going to be much bigger. Kings are going to look truly royal. Again, quite interesting in terms of the fading and the fainting of the colors. This was the wand suit. Let's look at our pentacles, or coins, I should say. And here's the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. interesting here. Those coins. First off, they're beautiful to look at. The smaller ones too, the detail is there. The greens with the, shall we say, mustard, if you will, gold-ish coloring along with the black and white. I feel like someone just did this fresh with pencil coloring as well. It looks like it, but beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Super earthy, obviously. And I need not give you thoughts now on 1 through 6 of coins, but really, again, enjoying the dashes of red here and there. They're in a way following a certain pattern, but not so. So very, very interesting style of Luigo Montieri. Really, really interesting. Okay, to swords. So we go. Now, the swords, in a way, coming closer to a Marseille and a historic style. So, you know what, they're curved. You could tell top from bottom. Now, in these ones, obviously with the 3 and the 5, there is really one way to look at it. It's not going to be reversed this way or that way. So that's also interesting that they're sideways. The greens and the reds, love them, love them. And as you guys could see, interesting sword on with the queen, with the king. We have our page here, very, very faded, I will say as well. Fainted. I'm about to faint. I think I'm exhausted as heck. Alright, here's the cups. Cups, 2 of cups, 3 of cups. Cups are beautiful. I already glanced at those, the mixture of the green with the red. The cups are beautiful. And here's our 6, and here's our page, who looks, you know what, okay, not too bad. And here's our queen and the king. They appear happiest of the court cards that I've seen so far. The cup family here, or the cup suit. Very, very interesting. Again, they plug in those banners. So for the court cards, I've seen 6s, except with the kings. Let's see. So the kings always have those 5 banners. Interesting. Why 5 for the kings? Why 6 for others? Something to be figured out for sure. Well, guys, so yeah, an interesting deck. I'm so looking forward to shuffling, and I'm looking forward to doing a reading. Suggest to me, guys, if you do have some ideas on spread types that you think would be interesting to use with this one. I'm already thinking if you did a gypsy spread with 21 cards, that'd be interesting. There'd be a lot of dominance of majors. But I would love to hear from you guys. So with that being said, this is our review today. This was for the Tarochhino Montieri, which is part of the Anima Antiqua series by Lo Scarabeo. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts, and I want you to know we do love you madly. And bye for now, guys.